On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. A lot going on today. The Big Beautiful Bill Act is going to be pushed through the Senate. Major votes that they've got to do, a vote-a-rama. We'll talk about it. Not super exciting. I've got some big stuff that RFK Jr. has put out. He was on Tucker Carlson, his show. We've also got a lot of stuff, Trump talking about what's coming up with tariffs. And a lot of things. We got a lot of news to get into. Going to hop right into it. Also, want to remind you guys about this coming Friday. We're doing the live show in Houston. If you are going to be in the area, and certainly if you plan on showing up, hopefully you've RSVP'd. Main reason why we want people to RSVP, two reasons. One, we're making name tags. So if we know you're coming, we can have a name tag made. If not, we can make one when you show up, but it would be nice if you've by chance ever emailed the On the Fringe Around the Nation at gmail.com. If you have emailed that, to let them know at some point. Please make sure you've responded. I know they sent an email out recently just trying to get a final head count. We're hoping to nip any problems off in the bud. I've also got some prizes I'm going to be giving away. I think I've got about 15 to 18 prizes, somewhere around there. Some of it's healthy home stuff. I got some gift cards. I don't know, trying to offer up some goodies for you guys that show up in person. So it'll be for you guys. Unfortunately, the people that are remote, no goodies for you guys. I apologize for that. But it is to reward those who have made the trek to come on down and hang out at Two-A-Days. It's on Pearland Avenue out in Houston. I hope to see you there. I'm very much looking forward to meeting a bunch of people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we've got a great 2-hour show. Got a patriotic music mixed in with just good dance music, good music. Just, I don't know. It's good, feel-good music. It's going to be a bitchin' show. I know I'm going to be doing a stream up on a TV that everybody should be able to view. And then I've got some help. Someone's bringing in a small amplifier and a speaker. So I'll be able to run some sound to the people local. And then the rest of it should be broadcast normally. And it's only going to be Rumble, by the way. I do apologize for people that do watch me on X and stuff like that, just because I'm doing it on a laptop and I'm not sure how good Wi-Fi is going to be. I've actually got to call them when I'm done recording. I don't think I want to try to stream to multiple sources. Here at my house, I've got really good internet, extremely good. I got fiber, so I can stream to 8,000 things and it's not a big deal. This laptop, not sure. That's the only part I'm not 100% sure on. If they've got good Wi-Fi, I should be groovy. If I have to use a hotspot, I hope it's good. Let's just put it that way. I might have to dip down the bit count. So we'll see. Again, it's just the fun of showing up places and trying to do a good show when you're not 100% sure about all the little pieces that you've got to make happen. That said, let's get into the show. Really horrible thing. Idaho Wildfire was started by an arsonist. When the fire department showed up, this dude had a sniper rifle and began shooting. He killed 2 firefighters and injured a third. Long story short, they did eventually get him. They don't know if the police shot him or if he shot himself, but the gentleman, or let's call him a dude, was taken into custody was killed or found dead. Let's try to get our facts together. But he did kill 2 fire department members. Very sad. This is the guy. His name is Wes Rowley. He was identified gunman. I've heard so many things coming out about this individual. I tried to do some grok searches to see if we could find much on this guy. Not a whole lot on the social media platforms. We did come across an apparent correlation, or his family. Apparently this is his parents. Now everybody is then saying, well, this guy is obviously on the right because his parents are on the right. That's almost never true, by the way. This kid's likely left-leaning just because his parents happen to be conservatives. Most of the time, your parents are politically different than you are when you're a kid, especially. So a lot of people are really trying to run with the fact that his parents are MAGA, and likely he must be MAGA, and therefore that's why he shot the fire department, or the fireman. That's not something MAGA does. MAGA's got the red line, the blue line. We've got all that stuff. That's 100% us. We own that for sure. So almost assured that this dude was not MAGA. But whatever the case is, don't know if he's got any training. We know very little about him at this point. I'm assuming some people will manage to dig some crap up over the coming days and weeks. Federal authorities make more arrests at an LA address. This one's tied to Iranian human smuggling network that was going on. CBP executed a federal search warrant today, or yesterday, I think it was, at a human smuggling hub in Los Angeles tied to the national security threats. Two individuals were arrested during the operation, which was led by CBP's Special Response Team with support from Border Patrol's tactical units and air and marine operations. It's a pretty big deal. Obviously, these two were concerns. Let's call it that. We got a hero of dad that dives into the sea and he saves his daughter. They were on a Disney Dream cruise. Apparently, we're treading water for about 20 minutes, which in the ocean is significantly easier than, say, like a lake. I mean, not trying to downplay this. Though, there's one part of this that really looks weird to me, and I'm curious what you guys think. I don't have kids. I don't know. But the daughter jumps off. It was, I guess, like the fourth level up or whatever. I've never even been on a cruise, so I don't really even know how. I've seen the ships before. They're giant, but they were on the fourth deck. She went overboard. Dad immediately jumped over. Just didn't even think twice. So awesome. Dude, this dad's a rock star. Where it's weird to me is she was rescued. They finally were rescued. I'm reasonably sure this dude's the dad and pretty sure this is the daughter. I don't think this is the mom because she didn't jump in. This is probably one of the rescuers, I think, I hope. But what I don't get is why isn't the dad holding the child? Why is it not him? I don't understand that. That to me seems weird. She's over here, he's over here. I mean, unless this was the mom, but again, these are all the rescuers. They all got the helmets on. He dove in, she fell in. No mom jumped in. So why is he not holding the daughter? I don't understand that. Like, I would think if I was the father, I'd be like holding my kid. Like, I just rescued your ass. I don't know. It seems strange to me. Whatever. Twisted Florida pharmacist who raped and trafficked more than 50 young girls is apparently going to be finding out his fate. Stefan Andres Correa, 42, was handed the life sentence on Friday after authorities discovered more than 100 disturbing videos of him sexually abusing over 50 children. It was stored across 9 different cell phones. U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida has announced this. Prosecutor said the Miami predator preyed on girls between the ages of 10 and 17. Bad dude that they finally took off the streets. I'll agree with you on that. Canada scrapped their digital service tax. We talked about this yesterday, and Trump basically said, all right, you're going to put a digital service tax on us. Trade talks are done. Goodbye. Thank you. I'll let you know in 7 days how frickin' bad your tariffs are going to be. And all of a sudden, less than 24 hours passes, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. No need for all that. So, Francois Philippe Champagne, or Champagne, I don't know how they say it in French. Isn't it champagne? Don't we just say it the normal way? Anyway. Canada is engaged in complex negotiations on a new economic and security partnership with the United States. Rescinding the DST will allow the negotiations to make vital progress and reinforce our work to create jobs and build prosperity for all Canadians. Now, I'm going to say this, Canada. Not Canadians, you guys are great, but you're Francois Douchehole. Just a douchey name. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Francois. If you guys do anything like this in the future, I guarantee Trump's going to have something in that trade agreement that's like, if you put in a digital DST tax, if you do this, if you do that, we will rescind this entire agreement. So if they think this is one of those things like, we'll bring them back to the table, and then once we get this agreement, then we'll levy the tax on them. No, I guarantee you that ain't happening. So Canada came back to the table like they should. Zoran Mamdani, this guy's like the super popular dude at the moment. He admitted he hates capitalism. He has allied himself with socialist operative linked to Marxist terror group. So yeah, he's definitely not fond of capitalism. He says there must be a better distribution of wealth in this country. That's not how it works. Like, if you manage to do well, push hard, work extra hours compared to the lazy people that you know next door, and you amass more wealth than your neighbor next door, that doesn't just get distributed elsewhere, which is, of course, what socialists believe, and it's why the system doesn't work. So this dude's he's under a lot of fire. He doesn't think we should have billionaires. He doesn't think people should have money and power and control. He thinks he should be able to take that all from everybody. He's definitely a communist. Trump called him a communist. Zoran Mamdani claims it's a distraction tactic. I don't think so. You're actually that way. In fact, top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries is even demanding socialist Zoran to clarify his defense of Intifada. They've got this chant, globalize the Intifada. And He's like, so do you want to try to explain what the hell's going on with this whole chant you got happening here? And basically, he hasn't responded yet, to the best of my understanding. I don't want to play Hakeem play. I don't think I have it. Thank God I was looking. I don't think I have him talking. It would be like 42 words, and it would be a 15-minute long speech because it takes him a day and a half to talk. Also going on in New York, former New York governor aide to be arraigned on federal charges. Linda Sun and the former aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul and former Governor Andrew Cuomo is expected to be arraigned today on federal charges. Prosecutors say Sun and her husband steered nearly $45 million in COVID-era contracts to companies tied with her own family while she served as a diversity officer under Cuomo. The couple allegedly pocketed more than $2 million in kickbacks. Ooh, not a bad day, huh? Sun also faces accusations of acting as an unregistered agent for Beijing, sharing internal state information with Chinese diplomats, and blocking meetings between Taiwanese officials and two New York governors. Her attorney, meanwhile, says she will vigorously fight these charges. Yeah, I have a funny feeling she's maybe not going to make it through this. We'll see. We'll see. I just want to remind you guys of Healthy Home, some of the cool stuff that I'm bringing to give away, but it's very awesome products, and certainly the people that pick up on these products are probably going to quickly figure out exactly what I've been talking about. Stem cells help you heal. Stem cells start to, like the number of stem cells in your body start to like get smaller and smaller as we age. Stem Active actually causes your own body to raise its own stem cell count significantly. Hard to say. 25 to 40%, in fact, in a very, very short period of time. So it's a major, major helper when it comes to healing. Stem cells are essentially cells that can become any other cell in the body. So if you've got an injured heart and you need some heart cells to heal the heart, boom, stem cells come running in, become heart cells. You got lung that needs some healing, does the same. Liver, you need some rebuilding of the liver, stem cells come in and become liver cells. Stem cells are the key to healing. They're extraordinarily powerful, so you definitely want to check these out. Really, within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start to notice differences. I've got, one girlfriend. She has calcification in her shoulder. Her shoulder's better now. Like, it's a trip, like better. She didn't do the what is it when you go to work out, basically, the therapy, physical therapy. She was doing that, and then it got too expensive because they dropped her deductible. The year changed over, and she stopped doing it. And I was just like, crap. I even offered to pay for it, and she's like, no. Stem cells did it. She's also doing the collagen micropeptides. Dude, this Amaze is incredible. So she's been doing the heck out of that one too. I don't think that helped the shoulder. I think it's helping all the other things going on with her body. A good friend of mine told me the peptides are helping her skin. People were noticing that. But she's an officer, and she had shoulder issues and some hip issues going on. She had a lot of stuff going on. She carries a lot of gear, and she was sort of carrying it, I think, a little off-center. Also had some dietary things going on. She noticed a huge difference with the Stem Active. They've also got it for pets, by the way, and it's less expensive when you buy it for your pets. Again, you want to help your pets heal. They've been through a surgery, something like that. Stem cells for your pets. Stem Active for pets, a huge, huge product. Also, we've got Balance. I can't wait to find out. Hopefully, our friend out in Texas has had a chance to try this out. But, you know, as ladies age, we do have some of these problems with the hormone transition into the later life version of ourselves. And what this does is this helps. People are noticing huge restoring in energy. We're not getting those weird mood swings as much. It's enhancing sleep. It's enhancing relationships because, again, a little more chill. Things are just not quite as out of balance and chaotic. And it tends to make a little more sense. It's a transdermal lotion. You put a little bit on your wrist, you rub your wrists together, and boom, you got the lotion in there. People are saying this is actually lasting, this one bottle's lasting a couple months or more. So it's one of those things where you can use it at your own pace. It's not like some of these other things where there's 60 pills, you take 2 pills a day. Guess what? That's 30 days, right? It's not quite like that. Or there's 30 packets, you do 1 packet a day. Now, Amaze is kind of the other side. It's got 15 packets. If you want to get enough for a month, you need to get 2 of these. But these are incredible. They taste fantastic, and you are going to notice all sorts of differences with your hair, your joints, your skin, all this stuff. Very powerful products. And this could have had a lot to do with helping my girlfriend, too. I mean, it does help joints. It was her shoulder, but the calcification was not in the ball of the shoulder. It wasn't in the joint itself, but it was right there close to it. So I think it's a combination of the two, frankly. And Prime is also something I'll be bringing out to Houston so some people can try it out, but it's incredible the way it gives energy. It's not like It's not like you're going to go run a marathon, but you're just going to have more energy. You're running around the yard, chasing your grandkid, whatever you're doing, you're going to notice you got more energy. What it is, it's nitric oxide booster. Essentially, it expands your blood vessels. So more blood can travel through, which means more oxygen can get to the places that your body needs oxygen, hence the energy. So it's not doing anything like caffeine or anything weird like that. It's literally just allowing your body to perform better. Incredible products. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. And make sure you get those healthy choices, healthy living, all of that. Like if you focus on trying to be healthy, you're going to eat better. You're going to buy products that help you healthy. You're going to get products that help get vitamins and minerals inside your body. That's what maintaining or manifesting health is. It's not trying to not be sick. Whenever people try to do that, ultimately they always stay sick because they're focused on the sick. You got to focus on what you want to be. You got to focus on being healthy. And healthy people do healthy things. That's how it works. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Make those healthy choices, and you can be healthier too. All right, Maria Bartiromo talked to President Trump. We've got some stuff, but a lot of this is talking about the big, beautiful bill. A bunch of these truths here, so we're going to get through a bunch of these. Check them out.
Mr. President, you were just coming off of one of the most consequential weeks anybody has ever seen, from striking Iran to going to NATO, to announcing 2 deals, and then this Supreme Court victory. Have you been able to digest what has occurred in the last 7 days?
Not really. It was pretty wild period of time, and I really think in 6 months we've taken the country and turned it around. I was told by the King of Saudi Arabia, by the leader of Qatar and the leader of UAE, when we went over there, we brought back $5.1 trillion investment into the United States. They said, you're presiding now over the hottest country in the world. And a year ago, we thought your country was dead. It could never come back. It was so incompetently run by a very bad president. And I said, you're right. This country is hot. And that was a couple of months ago. Now we're talking about what we've done recently. So the country is really going. The numbers are great. I watch you in the mornings and you're giving those numbers and they're really good. No inflation. We have a bad Fed chairman, but other than that, we have, great. It doesn't even matter. The numbers are so good. It doesn't matter that he keeps the rates artificially high. But it's been an amazing period of time.
It sure has, and we've got some of the stuff with Besant talking about the Fed, Powell, and some of the stuff going on there. So we definitely got some information. Right here, Secretary Chris Wright talking about the big, beautiful bill.
So when do you expect, are we going to see in the second half of the year more sunlight on the president's energy agenda?
Absolutely. It'll unfold throughout this year. The first step is the one big, beautiful bill. There's a lot of key things for energy in there. It's some permitting reform. It's some mandated lease sales, things that we should be doing in law, but the Biden administration stopped. And heck, another huge thing I can't help but mention, about $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion of subsidies were slated under current law over the next decade. Over $1 trillion. And what do we get in benefit? We get more expensive electricity and forced to buy an EV, and you can't choose the car of your choice. So the one big, beautiful bill is key in ending the EV mandate, getting rid of most, over $500 billion of subsidies that are paid for by American taxpayers, while at the same time reducing upward prices on energy.
A lot of stuff is in there, and again, they're fighting it back and forth all over the place. Senator John Barrasso on the big, beautiful bill. Check it out.
Lower prices, lower taxes, more jobs, better paying jobs, more money in people's pockets. That's what the American people voted for. They rejected the Democrats last time because they were the party of high prices and open borders. They wanted the Republicans to bring to them safety and prosperity, and that's what this is all about. Money in their pockets, better jobs, and bringing jobs back home from overseas.
That's exactly it. Here is Senator Jim Banks talking about the big, beautiful bill.
Spending cut in American history, a $1.6 trillion spending cut, getting rid of the Green New Deal scams from the Biden administration. And it's the biggest tax cut in American history for working class families, for mechanics, for factory workers, teachers, beauticians, the working class men and women of this country who just gave President Trump a historic election victory. Republicans are going to follow through and extend the Trump tax cuts. No taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, and America is going to be healthier. The economy is going to be stronger for it. And then we'll move on to the next bill and hopefully do even more in spending cuts and helping the American people even more after that.
Okay.
Again, many things coming through, but we'll see. Today is going to be a big day. The expectation is they'll probably finish the vote early in the morning, tomorrow morning. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on the big, beautiful bill.
What we're doing is cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse, and I want to use that word abuse, out of the Medicaid system and make sure it's for the people that it was originally intended for. Keep in mind, right now, there's 35 million people that live under the poverty line inside the United States. Yet there's 70 million that's on Medicaid. Yeah. Now, it's unsustainable. Medicaid was designed for those in the most dire need, and that's what we need to make sure it's there for. Now, what people are upset about, especially in states, is ever since Obamacare, there's been this loophole that allows the states to actually charge providers an exorbitant amount to pay their share. And so instead of the states paying their share, they're charging the providers, which one requires the United States taxpayers and other states to offset these high provider taxes inside different states. North Carolina has a high provider tax. Yeah. What we're saying is it needs to be even. Every state should be the same, and so we're gradually bringing down what states provide and making it even across the board. And so there's an even playing field. So one state like Oklahoma isn't offsetting high provider taxes in North Carolina or California.
And that's what these states are. It's going to shut down rural hospitals because they've got high provider taxes. They're raping federal taxes in order to save the state from having to pay money they should have to pay already. So again, these guys are crying about something that I think, frankly, they need to manage internally. They've got to stop expecting the federal taxpayer to pay their state bills, especially if they're doing extraordinarily higher prices than other places too. Now they're just raping us on top of that. So again, we've got people like Lindsey Graham or who was Howley is saying these guys are it's just going to shut down hospitals. We've got Murkowski, I think, was it her? Or Collins? Collins from Maine, I think it was. Murkowski, I think, is Alaska. But she's also complaining about it too. She's got other complaints, but needless to say, this is what a lot of them are bitching about. Whatever the case is. Donald Trump truth this: for all cost-cutting Republicans, of which I am one, remember, you still have to get reelected. Don't go too crazy. We will make it all up times 10 with growth, more than ever before. It's like, just calm down. Give me my money like we need. Let us move this forward. Let me show you what I can do. Trump's been planning this forever. Now, he truthed this out as well. Tom Tillis has hurt the great people of North Carolina. Even on the catastrophic flooding, nothing was done to help until I took office. Then a miracle took place. Tillis is a talker and a complainer, not a doer. He's even worse than Rand Fauci Paul. Oof, that hurts. That's pretty harsh. So GOP's Tom Tillis rage quits the Senate. Says he will not seek re-election amid political theater and hypocrisy. Good. Bye. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye, mofo. Take it. Take it to the bank, biatch. U.S. Senate begins nail-biting vote on Trump spending bill. Yeah, they're going to be fighting this all day. Votes like crazy. So what the vote-a-rama is, too, by the way, is they're voting on all the amendments. So just there's amendment after amendment after amendment. And so that's what all the votes are. And then once they get all that done, then they vote on the finalized bill. Hopefully it's not too far off from what the House was trying to do, and then we've got to figure out how that works. But all said, we should be hitting our deadline. The expectation, I think, is to get the vote done here in the House within the next couple days. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. Ted Cruz and Marsha Blackburn strike a deal pausing state-level AI regulations in the big, beautiful bill. I like this, I think. At first, I was like, all right, they're going to fight this. I don't think that's a good idea. I know a lot of people disagree with me. I think having states fight AI is silly. I think AI needs to be done kind of on a military way because otherwise China, they're not going to cut any corners. And China's AI will literally rule the world. It'll hack bank accounts. It will hack anything. Like, if we don't have AI to protect ourselves from other AI, we're screwed. So all the people that are like, we can't let them do whatever they want. We can't not, because China's going to do whatever they want. So if we put handcuffs on ourselves and nobody else does, we're the prisoner. I know a lot of people hate that. I also understand a lot of people are very freaked out about AI. I'm not scared about what's happening in the world. I'm not scared at all. Okay. One, I think I understand the bigger picture. Two, AI doesn't necessarily have to be the Terminator, which is what so many people are sure is going to happen. It's going to become conscious. I don't know about that. The soul was made by God. I don't think man can make a soul, and I don't think a computer can create a soul. So I'm not worried about it. It's not going to become conscious, I don't think. It might be aware of itself maybe in some weird shape, but I don't think it's necessarily aware like a human is, or maybe like a pet can be. Like that's awareness. I think that's soul level stuff. So again, I don't freak out about AI. I think AI is actually going to be here to help us. I think it's going to make an enormous difference in our world. It's going to remove jobs that we don't need to have people doing. I mean, and that's going to be lawyers, doctors. Like, there's going to be some legit stuff that's going to be taken over by computers, which, you know, sucks if you're a doctor, but that's still a number of years down the road. Lawyers, sooner, but lawyers charge a lot of money. And frankly, a lot of the stuff is just filing paperwork. You can have AI help you with that all day long. So there's places where AI is definitely going to help. Manufacturing needs to be done with computers mostly anyway. People should not literally be putting stuff in there, because you guarantee you're going to not do it as well. So there's a lot that we need to reshuffle in society. So many people are stuck in thinking that, like, oh, this is what I've always done. This is the only thing I know how to do. You can learn other things. You don't have to necessarily continue doing that same thing. You know, like a lot of people, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like easy. I don't know. We don't have to always do things the same way. We should find ways to enhance, and then find other places that we can find interesting jobs, or jobs we like, or whatever. You know, there's going to be a lot of jobs still that AI is hopefully going to help us create this whole new kind of paradigm that we're not used to. Again, I know a lot of people are scared. I think, just to say it and then we'll move on, fear is a thing that generally comes from evil, from the dark. It uses fear. So anybody that's promoting fear, I'm not saying they're necessarily evil or dark. What I am saying is they listen to evil or dark, and that's what they believe, and that's why they're scared. If you understand the bigger picture, or if you know God's got a plan, or God's in charge, or whatever, however you want to phrase that in your world, then you shouldn't be scared. Maybe God's giving us AI. Did you ever think that's possible? See, nobody wants to think that. God could very well be allowing us to see AI so we can enhance and do other things, spend our time more efficiently, spend time with family, not have to necessarily do these menial jobs that we can then move into things we enjoy. So again, we'll see how it plays out. Again, I've just been hearing a bunch of people panicking about stuff, and it's like, we don't even know, you know, and most people are talking about stuff they don't know at all, for that matter. So some key, big, beautiful bill differences that the House and Senate will have to work through. There is some differences on the SALT. I know that. The tax cuts are another one. Let's see. Both the versions want to make 2017 tax cuts permanent, reduce taxes on tips and overtime, increase border security funding, and slash green energy credits passed during the Biden administration, including the $7,500 credit for buying Teslas and other EVs, which is the thing Musk is very pissed about. But the marquee legislation will require the Senate and House to reconcile their versions before the bill can be fully approved and go to the president for his signature. Both versions of the bill include a number of Trump's promised tax incentives, some $3.8 trillion in tax cuts in all, but differ slightly when it comes to the raw numbers. Senate version would allow the Americans to deduct as much as $12,500 for overtime pay and up to $25,000 in tip income through 2028. Reductions that would drop for those making $150,000 or more. The House version didn't put limits on the deductions. Child tax credit would jump from $2,000 to $2,200 per child. I didn't feel like a jump, but I guess it's, what was it, 10%? So, not too bad. They're also going to adjust it for inflation. The House version, however, would raise the credit to $2,500 temporarily before lowering it back down to $2,000. So those are slight differences there. Let's see. One of the most significant differences in the Senate bill is a provision to permanently expand the standard deduction. The House version would only see it expand through 2028. Senate lawmakers also raised a tax break for seniors to $6,000 through 2028, whereas in the House bill, that figure is $4,000. Raising the debt ceiling, the Senate wants to raise it to $5 trillion. which is funny because that's been Rand Paul's big beef, and his Senate raised it more. Rand Fauci Paul. Rand Paul's, I'm pretty sure he's never going to survive this, and I'm about 100% sure I don't think I'll ever support him again. Used to love him, absolutely used to love him, especially when it came to Fauci. I think those days are past. And again, we've got to come together right now, and we've got to work to do things together. And right now, I see some very unique people that are trying to make noise and trying to stop progress. Massey, Rand Paul, of course, both from Kentucky. Mitch McConnell, also from Kentucky. We've got to fix some of the politicians happening in Kentucky right now for sure. Massey's obviously going to get the hardcore taken out, and I think Rand Paul's probably still got. I don't think he comes up in 2026. I think he's probably got at least 4 years, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked. Whatever. Higher debt ceiling though. House wanted $4 trillion. Senate's doing $5 trillion. That's actually going to be a big problem for the House. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Let's see, cuts the food stamp spending program, which is also good. Senate bill would require able-bodied adults to continue working up to age 64, with some exemptions carved out for parents with children under age 14. However, states would be limited in how they can waive the requirements. The House version would require adults, including those with children age 6 or older, to work in order to qualify for benefits. I think I like the 14 age a little better than 6, unless that volunteer stuff and they can do it from home, maybe, but you got a child that's 6 to 14, they still need some time, you still got to pay attention to them, make sure they're getting their homework done, so whatever. And the state and local tax deductions, or the SALT, this is another one that they're going to be fighting over. Currently it's capped at $10,000, but both versions of the bill would boost that to $40,000 for married couples, making up to $500,000 a year. So we'll see. I guess they're kind of agreeing on that one. All said. A lot going on. Live updates. Democrats lose key appeal on Trump's big, beautiful bill as a vote-a-rama kicks off. Democrats, what were they trying to do? They lost a key appeal when the chamber voted along party lines that an extension of the expiring 2017 tax cuts could be scored as deficit neutral, meaning the legislation complies with the Byrd rule and can pass by a simple majority vote. Democrats didn't think it did. They lost that vote. So, meh. Graham claims sole authority to decide if GOP mega bill complies with budgetary laws. The left is really pissed about this, but whatever the case is, I don't know. I don't know why he is. He's the one that's going to be like, no, this is totally okay to do. This doesn't cause any problems, yada, yada, yada. So, whatever. Rick Scott drafts key Medicaid amendment ahead of the voting marathon. Again, they're trying to work through all this stuff. I don't kind of want to get into all the nitty-gritty. Frankly, it just takes forever. And, yeah, we'll just see what passes when it comes through. And, our thoughts about it at this point are probably not going to matter that much, right? I mean, really. Let's see. Wall Street apes. This would be huge, they say. Marjorie Taylor Greene said she got off the phone with President Trump, told him about a new bill that she's trying to do. She said this bill is going to require the U.S. Census Bureau to conduct a new census immediately upon enactment of the bill. In conducting the new census of the U.S. population, it shall require questions determining the citizenship of each individual and count U.S. citizens only. Upon completion of the census, the bill will direct states to immediately begin a redistricting of all U.S. House seats process using only the population of the United States citizens. Of course, she says, thank you, President Trump, for support on this. I don't know how they get this through the Senate, but this would pass the House for sure. Senate would have to have a 60 vote threshold on this, and we don't probably have 60 votes in the Senate. I mean, maybe Fetterman would come along, maybe Manchin would come along, maybe, but we're still 5 short. I don't know where we're going to get the extra 5 votes. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but they're trying. Can oil and gas solve the AI power dilemma? The big problem we have with AI right now is the amount of power these data centers are going to need and require. We've already got a system, an electrical system that's stressed beyond words. And so what they're going to do is they're going to bring up a lot of these, probably some coal plants, but mostly gas burning electrical facilities, and that's going to help stabilize the electric grid a little bit, or at least be directly attached to some of these data centers so they have direct power and they're not necessarily drawing off the grid real heavily, and then any extra power can be fed into the grid. They're wondering, is that going to be enough? Well, I mean, we've got 3 nuclear power plants, I think, that are working on coming online. We need to get more of them. In fact, New York's talking about building one. I might have that story coming up here in a sec. Texas law gives grid operators power to disconnect data centers during a crisis. A smart move on their part. Again, Texas has their own power grid, and any data centers that are down there, meaning like Musk's and others, possibly, because a lot of businesses have been moving to Texas. This is a bummer, by the way, for these businesses, and something Texas needs to kind of get their shit figured out. They need to have way more than enough power, because if they don't, all these businesses that were going to move there or wanted to move there aren't now, because you guys can't support the power. And if you're going to turn off their data centers and their AI stops working because you just turned off their data center, that's a problem, right? Especially if it might be tied into self-driving cars like Tesla, and then all of a sudden you shut down the data center, and what happens then? That would be bad. A bunch of people get stranded in their cars all over the nation. So I don't know. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, but this is potentially dangerous. Texas, you need to start making some friggin' power. Yeah, get that ball rolling, man. Stop dicking around. So yeah, let's see. Oh, Biolog. Yeah, it's just a weird story. Some crazy startup company is trying to make biological computers from human cells, like AI using human cells. Why? Why would you? Are they trying to make something that's alive? Are they trying to create, like, the thing that most people fear? Like, this is literally someone trying to build the thing they fear. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work very well, but whatever. They got a machine housing 200,000 lab-grown brain cells. They're wired to silicone circuits, creating a biological computer that's already turning heads. Whatever. Blue states with net zero emission goals consider nuclear as hopes for 100% wind and solar fade. This is New York, California, and Michigan are all actually finally coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, wind and solar don't work. Nuclear is clean energy, carbon-free energy. No reason not to use it. Extraordinarily efficient, very powerful, better than not counting on a bunch of the crap they've got, right? So that's exactly what's going on. I think New York specifically is looking at bringing in at least a single gigawatt facility. A gigawatt's quite a bit of power. That's a big facility. I mean, some of the bigger ones are larger than that. But yeah, they also called for the closure of 20 gigawatts of dispatchable natural gas-fired power plants. So they're still trying to shut down some of those energies that release CO2, which is still, again, I understand some people say it. I'm not trying to get in trouble with YouTube here. That's the only reason I'm saying it this way. I understand some scientists think that CO2 is a problem, but historically speaking, CO2 is always the higher CO2 levels has actually helped plants grow. We also came out of an ice age back in the mid 1800s, and so yeah, temperatures have come up a little bit. We've also noticed that in Mars, for example. Venus, for example, there's a number of planets in our solar system that are actually having strange events or actual temperatures rising. Pretty sure it's not because of human activity. So obviously their discussions are incorrect. Like CO2 is not the big bad boogie woogie. What's that? Booba Yaga. What's the boogeyman? It's not as bad as they say, but whatever. Don't trust these people. White House eyes Kentucky state senator for Massey challenge. So it's a state senator they're talking about. At first, I was like, wait, Rand Paul? I was like, no, sorry. He was a former Navy SEAL. He was first elected to the Kentucky State House last year and might be someone that could very easily take Massey's seat over, and they could probably replace him easier. So we'll see how that plays out. I'd love to see Massey lose, and I will play every part I can in that. Funny thing is, Justice Kagan, her own words come back to haunt her on this nationwide injunction. She was one of the 3 people that didn't like the fact that lower courts couldn't shut down everything. But weirdly, just back in 2022, Justice Elena Kagan, her own words, she was exposing the left's all too familiar habit of changing the rules when it suits their political objectives, right? Let's see if I can find the quote. Here it is. So back in 2022, when President Biden was in the White House and conservatives were the ones seeking relief from his executive orders, Kagan was openly skeptical of nationwide injunctions, said, quote, "This can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stuck for the years that it takes to go through a normal process." She said that when it was us stopping Biden, but now it's Trump and it's totally okay to have nationwide injunctions. This is what we've got from these three two-faced people. Again, just to remind you, there are 4 liberals on the court. One of the liberals continues to vote with the other constitutionalists. 3 of the retards continue to be retards. Again, I'm not trying to disrespect per se. We've got Jumanji. We've got Kagan. What's the other one? What's the other chick that keeps, or the person that keeps voting no? Whatever it is, whoever the other one is. I keep forgetting. Whatever. Names. I hate them. Trump admin concludes Harvard violated civil rights of Jewish and Israeli students. They didn't do anything about it. In fact, I think what do they call it? They called it deliberate indifference. There was people that were getting spit on, people that literally were hiding their heritage because they were afraid of the fallout. And Harvard did nothing about it, or as they say, deliberate indifference. So they are actually, after this, and this is from their own investigation, and they're like, Harvard's guilty. So the next thing is this formal notice of violation of civil rights laws, generally in step, that can come before either a lawsuit from the Justice Department or a voluntary resolution with the school. Under past presidential administrations, civil rights investigations at universities usually ended with voluntary resolution agreements. This one might not. We'll see. But we obviously know that much of the money that Harvard used to get from the federal government is no longer happening. USAID official pleads guilty to taking part in a $550 million bribery scheme. Totally violated public trust. This is pretty messed up. Federal contracting officer and 3 businessmen pleaded guilty Thursday to participating in a $550 million bribery scheme involving the embattled U.S. Agency for International Development. Roderick Watson of Maryland is alleged to have received bribes valued in excess of $1 million while working at USAID in exchange for using his position as a trusted overseer of taxpayer money to direct 14 prime federal contracts to 2 consulting companies, Aprio and Vistant. Watson, 57, pleaded guilty to bribery of public official and faces up to 15 years in prison. He is scheduled to be sentenced in October. And as part of this elaborate scheme, Walter Barnes, owner of Vistant, and Daryl Britt, owner of Aprio, used Paul Young, the president of a subcontractor used by both Vistant and Aprio, as a middleman to conceal some of the bribes destined for Watson, according to the Justice Department. The 3 businessmen each pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit bribery of a political official. Barnes pleaded guilty to security fraud as well. So these schemes date all the way back to 2013. Again, this is a lot of the crap that's been happening for years, and we're finally putting an end to it. Justice Department just announced the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the DOJ, worth about $14.6 billion, about 324 defendants involved. Check this out.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. In a takedown this large, I can't possibly describe all of the work that went into dismantling each scheme, but there are 4 key points that bear emphasizing. First, let me be clear about what these healthcare fraud schemes mean for every hardworking American family. These criminals didn't just steal someone else's money. They stole from you. Every fraudulent claim, every fake billing, every kickback scheme represents money taken directly from the pockets of American taxpayers who fund these essential programs through their hard work and sacrifice. And when criminals defraud these programs, they're not just committing theft. They're driving up our national deficit and threatening the long-term viability of healthcare for seniors, disabled Americans, and our most vulnerable citizens. This enforcement action involves the seizure of cash, as well as luxury vehicles and properties, returning real money to American taxpayers and to our government healthcare programs. Second, we are seeing a disturbing trend of transnational criminal organizations engaging in increasingly sophisticated and complex criminal schemes that defraud the American healthcare system. As part of this takedown, we've identified and charged defendants operating from Russia, Eastern Europe, Pakistan, and other foreign countries. These individuals have infiltrated our healthcare system to steal American taxpayer dollars. As just one example, we dismantled a scheme involving a sophisticated operation run from Russia and Eastern Europe that strategically bought dozens of medical supply companies in the United States and submitted more than $10 billion in fraudulent healthcare claims to Medicare. To make matters worse, these perpetrators used the stolen identities of more than 1 million Americans spanning all 50 states to perpetrate this scheme and submit these false claims. But I'm pleased to report that federal agents intercepted and arrested key members of that organization at U.S. airports and the U.S.-Mexico border, cutting off their intended escape routes. The days of transnational criminal organizations using the American healthcare programs as their personal piggy bank are over. Third, this takedown resulted in criminal charges against 74 defendants, including medical professionals who fueled America's deadly opioid crisis for personal profit. These are not isolated instances of poor judgment. These are calculated schemes designed to exploit Americans struggling with addiction while enriching the very people who were duty-bound to help them heal. We charged pill mill operators who prescribed unnecessary opioids. We dismantled networks of corrupt pharmacies that existed solely to distribute drugs to addicts and dealers, feeding the addiction crisis that has devastated so many American communities. This is not healthcare. It is a staggering breach of trust. And under my leadership, the criminal division will prosecute these criminals as aggressively as we would any drug dealer, because that's exactly what they are. Fourth, many of the defendants charged as part of this takedown specifically targeted our most vulnerable citizens: elderly Americans in nursing homes, individuals with disabilities, those battling serious illnesses, and more. For example, our prosecutors charged 7 defendants, including 5 medical professionals, in connection with approximately $1 billion in fraudulent claims to Medicare and other healthcare benefit programs for performing medically unnecessary skin grafts on dying patients as they were seeking to spend their final days with dignity and peace. That conduct is exactly as callous and disturbing as it sounds. Patients and their families trusted these providers with their lives. Instead of receiving care, they became victims of elaborate criminal schemes.
It's insane what was happening. Just absolutely insane. What is also insane, by the way, is MyPillow is giving free shipping right now. Free shipping. This is a perfect time to take advantage of the huge sales they got going on. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Take advantage of the free shipping. They've got the best towels anywhere. Any of their towels. You should check them all out. Dish towels starting at low as $9.99. Their regular bath towels are incredible. They've also got beach towels, 50% off right now. Their towels are amazing. And also, with the free shipping, this is actually the time to consider getting a mattress topper and or a mattress. They ship it to you. And, you know, normally shipping a mattress isn't cheap. It's a big box, oversized, right? Not light, but it's not heavy. You're getting free shipping. Free shipping, guys. This is the time to consider. You got a mattress that you need, you know, got an old one. It's a good time to get rid of that old one. Call you for the special trash pickup. Get rid of that old mattress. Just easy peasy. Or get the mattress topper. You want to add a few years to your mattress or make it even better? It's a perfect way to do it. Great way to take advantage of it. And also the MyCross, 50% off as well. Free shipping. It is sterling silver, and there are 2 different versions of it. There's the one with the inner is black and silver on the outer. One's got a white inner and then black on the outer. That one's actually pretty cool, I think. It's the one Mike Lindell wears, so if you guys want to check that out, that's super cool. Get the dog bed as well. If your dog should be sleeping on a MyPillow, it's essentially what it is. It's a MyPillow, and your dog's going to give you more kisses for it. I promise you that. And again, my store, same thing. If you go to mystore.com/OTF, you can take advantage of the great sales. And we've got the Giza Dream Sheets. These are 100% Giza cotton. They're high thread count. They're really, really nice sheets. These are the ones I use. I haven't tried the other ones ever. I like the Giza ones. They're incredible. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. Hopefully. Anyways, that's the plan. President Donald Trump, he's expected to be in attendance in Tuesday at the formal opening of the controversial immigration detention center that is being called Alligator Alcatraz. Kind of funny that he's planning on showing up. It's likely going to piss off some people, so that's always fun. Trump administration sues Los Angeles over its sanctuary city policies. That essentially has to do with how they're prohibiting federal law enforcement or discriminating and not helping them take down criminals. Lawsuit was filed in the Central District of California and notes up top that Donald Trump's campaign and won the presidential election on the platform of deporting the millions of illegal immigrants that the previous administration permitted through its open borders and policy to enter the country unlawfully. The suit, which names Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, the City Council, and City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson as defendants, claims that Los Angeles laws and policies obstruct the enforcement of immigration laws. A spokesperson for Bass did not immediately respond to a request for comment. President Trump's administration on Monday appealed a federal judge's decision to strike down an executive order targeting the law firm Perkins Coie over its past legal work for Hillary Clinton and others. So the appeal is moving forward there. Hopefully we'll get some answers on that. Tom Homan got a little bit fired up and says AOC might be in trouble if she keeps doing what she's doing. Let's check this out.
Just one final question, Mr. Borzar, and it has to do with the region of New York and somebody who's in the news a lot lately because she's most likely planning on running for higher office. It'd be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC has come and what looks like to us crossed the line a number of times, but two very curious stories out of her office. One, as soon as you were able to regain your position as border czar, AOC had a criminal alien who was working in her congressional staff flee the country. Now, I can't quite square how that's possible. How is somebody allowed to be a criminal alien in this country and then go work in Congress where you have access to classified material and you have access to a lot of important information? Then AOC has gone on and obviously taught publicly illegal aliens how to avoid ICE. She's done this with some of her colleagues in the squad. Here's the article of the criminal alien staffer that AOC had on staff. Maybe you could just start here and as an explainer to me and to this audience, like, how's this even possible?
It's not possible, and I know that's being looked at. I can't comment on past that. I'm aware of it. We've asked ICE to drill in on that case. It's my information that there were actually. I can't really comment on it. We don't know if it was illegal status or not at this point. It looks like it might have been temporary status, but I can't comment on the case. It's under investigation. As far as her educating people how to evade ICE arrest, she's really educating them on how to be prosecuted, because there are statutes on the books, federal statute, when you knowingly hinder your removal, that's a crime. When you take steps to prevent your removal after being ordered removed by a federal judge, it's a crime. We have instructed ICE to start prosecuting these cases. If you don't want to open the door, and we have a final order removal, if you don't want to participate in getting travel documents for your home nation, you take steps to hinder your own removal, that it's a crime, you'd be prosecuted. So she can claim she's educating people to constitutional rights. I'd argue she's educating many people on how to be prosecuted. You're going to see that happening.
Boom. Boom, Tom Homan. You go, boy. Some weird, mysterious blast paralyzes an oil tanker in the Mediterranean just weeks after a Russian port call. This is a Russian flagged ship, one of the Dark Fleet, likely. Many are suspicious that either Ukraine and or possibly Western powers, more likely not the United States, possibly Germany or England, something along those lines. Whatever the case is, some severe explosion happened in the engine room. They took on a lot of water, basically destroyed the boat. Does sound like somebody's messing with Russia. Again, I don't think we are doing that. Right now, it seems Russia and the United States are actually having really good talks. In fact, continued Russian-U.S. talks are proving Putin doesn't think Trump duped Iran with diplomacy. He's been very kind with his words. There's a lot of respect for each other, and Trump's been doing the same thing. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, you can't believe he's a Putin puppet. It's like Trump's trying to get all these countries that we've been fighting with forever to stop fighting. Like, what Trump's doing is awesome. I love it. I love what he's doing. So, yeah. He was talking to Maria Bartiromo about the Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. And again, everyone's saying, they moved it. We don't know where the 400 kilograms of uranium is. Trump's like, I don't think they moved it. Pretty sure, which would imply we might have destroyed it. Again, nothing nuclear leaked out. No radiation, which is interesting. but it's supposedly buried, right? That's one of the things they figure happened is they just blew the hell out of the inside of that cave and it just came down on itself, whatever the case is. I don't know.
They didn't move anything.
They didn't move anything.
You know what they moved themselves? They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything. They didn't think it was going to be actually doable, what we did. And what we did was amazing. And they, we went, there were energy commissions that went there now. No, it's just thousands of tons of rock in that room right now. That room, the whole place was just destroyed. And the other two also. Now, Israel was able to do damage, but we did the final damage. And we have the greatest submarines in the world. We launched 30 rockets from submarines. Every single one of them hit their target.
Yeah, those Tomahawks are pretty good. They're not real fast, but they fly very low, and they're very, very accurate. This is the IAEA chief. He's basically saying, I don't know where the 400 kilograms of nuclear material, if it's been moved or where it's at, but it's not like anyone would have told him, so whatever. The fact that he doesn't know, he's not allowed into Iran anymore because Iran's broken their agreements with them. And Trump's even said, them or, us or some other organization can go in there and check it out. Even Trump is, backing away from this group. This group is probably not, they're probably deep state or spies or whatever, or all the above. We'll see how those things continue to play out. Iran asked the UN to make the U.S. pay reparations for bombed nuclear site. I just think that's hilarious, right? And the UN will probably say we have to pay it, but I don't think we're a part of the UN, and I think we'd tell them to go pound sand or suck it or something to that effect. Whatever. President's press secretary previews the POTUS executive order terminating sanctions on Syria. She had a little something to say about this. Let's play that.
This afternoon, the president will be signing an executive order to terminate the United States sanctions program on Syria. And this is in an effort to promote and support the country's path to stability and peace. The order will remove sanctions on Syria while maintaining sanctions on the former President Assad, his associates, human rights abusers, drug traffickers, persons linked to chemical weapons activities, ISIS and their affiliates, and Iranian proxies. And this is, again, an action that the president promised and shocked the world with in Saudi Arabia because he's committed to supporting a Syria that is stable, unified, and at peace with itself and its neighbors. The president met with Syria's new president when we were in the Middle East, as you know, and so this is another promise made and promise kept by this president to promote peace and stability in the region.
Weird. It's almost like Trump keeps doing what he says he's going to do, even though everybody swears he's not. I love it. I love how it's all playing out. Got a couple cool things from RFK Jr. He's talking about the real reason your doctor will kick you out of the practice if you refuse vaccines for your child. Understand this. Understand why this is the case. I'm not trying to justify it, but this is why. And literally, if you're a parent that doesn't want your kids to get vaccinated, this will happen to you. Just so you know.
There's a published article out there now that says that 50% of revenues to most pediatricians come from vaccines. And then there's a whole structure where Blue Cross and the other insurance companies pay bonuses to the pediatrician to make sure if, for example, 95% of if their clients are fully vaccinated, they get a huge bonus. It could be tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why your pediatrician, if you say, I want to go slow on the vaccines or I want to have a little different schedule, your pediatrician will throw you out of his practice because you're now jeopardizing that bonus structure. And these are all perverse incentives that stop doctors from actually practicing medicine and caring for the client because they're looking at the bottom line.
Yep. That's exactly what's been happening. Here is RFK Jr. just said he believes Fauci received a pardon because of the that he's liable for creating the coronavirus. We need to get him pulled in. This is what he's talking about, so he can be questioned by Congress.
He got immunity. Why did he need immunity? Why did he need a pardon in advance?
What do you think the answer is?
I would be speculating, but I think I think he was vulnerable. I think he had a lot of liability on creating coronavirus. He was funding precisely that research at the Wuhan lab.
Yep.
And he was giving them the technology. He was giving them, he gave them not only the technology, the precise technology for developing that pathogen.
Yeah, he did some bad stuff. I think we all pretty mug agree on that. Hegseth presses defense industry to ramp up munitions amid depleted stocks. Talked to pretty much the main people out there: Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and BAE Systems. Essentially, yeah, we utilized a lot of our stockpiles trying to help Israel and trying to deal with Ukraine and all that. Some speculations as to we're maybe down to about 20% of our stockpiles right now, which is not good. And the big question and concern is, dude, China's like 4 seconds away from, starting to unleash their arsenal. And they've been building up their arsenal for quite some time while we've been, squandering ours away on stupid wars. That needs to get fixed. So Hegseth had a big discussion, had Deputy Defense Secretary Steve Feinberg there with him. So again, a big talk, hopefully moving us in the right direction. China's economy spirals with no end in sight. They're really in a bad place right now, folks. So this is one of the things where either A, they're going to have to take advantage and start to move sooner than later, maybe on the Taiwan thing. We understand Xi is definitely politically in trouble, and many are even wondering whether or not he's actually in charge that much anymore. And some had speculated that he was always there to kick the CCP out, but from what it looks like, people loyal to him in the military there's 3 people, and there used to be way more. So it's not looking good for Xi either. But they're having some pretty bad numbers, and their deficits, and their deficit to GDP, their debt to GDP is 350%. That's way worse than ours. And with Trump doing the trade war the way he's doing it, that's actually killing China right now. So we're doing a lot of the things correctly right now. Trump is definitely kicking ass, and it's pretty sweet. Fed Chair Jerome Powell accused of lying to Congress over a $2.5 billion Palace of Versailles. It's not really actually the Palace of Versailles, but that's what they're calling it. This is actually in Washington, D.C., and he was asked in Congress, hey, we understand that you're putting a restaurant, a special cafeteria at the top, that the private elevator's been changed, that you've actually got this weird water and life stuff up top and bees and weird stuff. And he's like, no, none of that's true. And then we found this document that shows all of this is on the plan. There's a plan that hasn't been changed since, I think, 2021, their own planning documents, and it states all those things were in fact happening. Powell's not allowed to lie to Congress at all. Now, some are saying maybe he wasn't prepared for this meeting. Possible. But all of the things they asked him about that he said weren't true, he was in fact wrong. This is, again, part of removing the Fed. These days are coming. We've got some stuff from Scott Bessent. He had a neat interview with this young lady, and he said a lot of good stuff. I'm going to try to play these things pretty quick, back to back, but I think it's useful information in the big picture. Check it out.
Which will prevail when you think about the cuts specifically as it pertains to Medicaid? Will the House level of cuts to Medicaid prevail or the Senate level? And which one will the president support?
We'll see. My sense is, and again, I take exception to cuts. We are actually bending the curve further out. We are getting able-bodied people back to work, and the most needy will have greater benefits.
Well, the main question, too, is the benefits that are being cut. What do you tell the nearly 12 million people that are on the brink of losing access to Medicaid?
Well, no, again, that's not right. 1.4 million are illegal aliens. Then a huge percent of that are the able-bodied working people who will need to go back to work. So we're going to have a work requirement, and we'll go from there. We're just going back to the levels pre-COVID.
Yeah, and we're just trying to get things back to where they should be. Here's more, Scott.
While we're talking about interest rates and the Federal Reserve, it has been recently reported that you might be in consideration for the job as the next Fed chair. When you've been asked about the likelihood recently, you said that it's up to the president. Is it a job that you would want?
I will do what the president wants, but I think I have the best job in D.C. We're making a lot of progress with the president's leadership. Think about it. We are going to have the tax bill on his desk by July 4th. We're going to be wrapping up the trade talks. So I think we've had great momentum, and we will be working on Chair Powell's successor over the coming weeks and months.
You had mentioned that an announcement could be as early as October or November, and Powell's term ends in May of 2026. How is the street supposed to navigate between that announcement time and the time between the term being over for Chair Powell? You were the one, I want to remind people, that had brought up the idea of a shadow Fed chair prior to the election. Is a new appointee supposed to be considered that shadow Fed chair?
Well, not necessarily. We'll see. There's a seat opening up, a 14-year seat opening up in January. So we've given thought to the idea that perhaps that person would go on to become the chair when Jay Powell leaves in May, or we could appoint the new chair in May. Unfortunately, that's just a 2-year seat.
So ultimately, do you think that there could be some confusion?
Well, I don't see why there would be confusion, because obviously there are people who are currently at the Fed who are under consideration. So why would there be confusion if that you add another candidate in January?
So what about Fed policy as it stands today? The president has voiced his preference for lower interest rates. There have been investors, but also most recently the Bank of International Settlements, warning about any inflation risks tied to the tariff policy. Realistically, how much can the Fed lower rates this year? And what is the level and rate of unemployment that would suggest a faster pace of rate cuts? Economically, what has to slow?
Well, look, I said during my confirmation, I won't talk about the mistakes the Fed's going to make. I'll only talk about the ones they have made. They made a gigantic mistake in 2022. And as I like to point out, medical studies have shown that people who fall tend to look at their feet, which makes them fall more. And my worry here is that having fallen down on the American people in 2022, Fed's now looking at their feet. We have seen no inflation from tariffs. If we do, which we don't have to, then there'd be a one-time price adjustment. Nothing is more transitory than that. So, Team Transitory, having failed the American people in 22, they seem a little frozen at the wheel here.
I like the Team Transitory. That's pretty damn funny. Again, here's Treasury Scott Bessent talking about the July 9th deadline for the trade deals. And we've got Trump talking about this, too, coming up in a second.
Part of this uncertainty does relate back to the trade deals. You've set a deadline for July 9th with key trading partners, or at least the administration in total has. How many of the key 18 most important partners that you have been speaking about have deals that will be agreed to by that time?
We'll see. I'm not going to negotiate on TV and let people off the hook. But as always, there's going to be a flurry going into the final week as the pressure increases.
What can you tell us about what's coming out of those deals? Are they inked deals, or are they negotiations for future deals?
Well, what I can tell you is that the staff level, whether it's at Treasury, at USTR, at Commerce, people who've been around for 20 years are in amazement, and they're saying these countries are coming with offers that they can't believe. So in terms of bringing down tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, we're leaving aside currency, the financing of the labor and capital in an advantageous way. All these countries are pulling back.
So you've said that trade negotiations could be wrapped up by Labor Day. How should investors and nations impacted be thinking about that July 9th deadline? And could that be pushed back to avoid going back to those April 2nd tariff rates?
Well, that's going to be up to President Trump. And I'm not going to tell any country. We have countries that are negotiating in good faith, but they should be aware that if we can't get across the line because they are being recalcitrant, then we could spring back to the April 2nd levels. I hope that won't have to happen.
Yeah, there's no could happening. This is exactly what's happening right now, because we're going into that last week that he was just talking about. Here's how Trump's actually going to handle it. And this is going to cause some panic amongst all these countries that have not made deals yet, thinking that they were going to be able to run out the clock.
What I want to do is, and what I will do just sometime prior to the 9th, is we'll send a letter to all these countries. There's 200 countries. You can't talk to all of them, no matter how many people you have. You can't talk to all of them. We'll send a letter and we'll say we would consider it a great honor, and this is what you'll have to do to shop in the United States. We're like a department store to shop in the United States, and you'll pay a 25% tariff, and we wish you a lot of luck. And that's the end of the trade deal, because we have something that nobody has. But if I didn't get elected, I'm telling you, we wouldn't have had a country left. You know that better than anybody. Nobody covers it better than you. If I didn't turn this thing around, this big ship around, we turned it around. Just like those ships coming out of China, they were coming and loaded, and in the middle of the ocean, they were forced to go back because at 145% tariff, Walmart, nobody wanted their product. And that caused a big problem for China. And then I helped China. By reducing it.
We still don't know. We don't have the clarity on what you're going to do with these expiration of these pauses. July 9th?
No, I think I
and
thought I just
August 12th
said
with
it.
China.
No, I thought I just said it. You ready?
You're going to send the letters.
I'm going to send letters. That's the end of the trade deal. I could send one to Japan. Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff on your cars, So we give Japan no.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens here, this truth post from Trump, to show people how spoiled countries have become with respect to the United States of America. And I have great respect for Japan. They won't take our rice, and yet they have a massive rice shortage. In other words, we'll just be sending them a letter, and we love having them as a trading partner for many years to come. Basically, all right, you're paying 25% tariffs. If you don't care, we don't care. I don't know why that's in there. It shouldn't be. So yeah, stocks I hadn't actually looked for a while. Gold's coming back up a little bit, not quite to 33.50, but kind of on its way back up. It's up 32 bucks so far for the day, which is pretty good. Everything's kind of up, which again is strange. Well, VIX is going back up, which means confidence is going down. That's kind of how that's backwards, but it's how it works. This is interesting right now how these things are playing out, because all of the stuff is suggesting that tariffs are going to go back up. We've got a lot of discussions around that, and the stock market doesn't know what to do. This is one of the things I find that's funny. I think that's partially why I had this thing here, that people don't know how to read the market anymore. Nobody knows what's going on. The market manipulators don't know what to do, because they want to blame it on Trump, but they kind of can't, but they need to, but they can't, and they're running out of time. This whole thing's getting kind of winky. I don't know if it's going to work out well or not. Of course, drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. All said, we'll see. Donald Trump is, giving just an awesome call out to good old General Flynn. He said, "It was my great honor to pardon Michael Flynn, a fearless patriot and decorated general who was savagely attacked by the Biden-Obama deep state, which has now been completely exposed for the fraud it is. These radical left lunatics unleashed a relentless storm of lies, fake charges, and dirty FBI tricks during the Russia hoax to try and crush Mike's spirits. But this great American hero was innocent. Now Mike has written a fantastic new book, Pardon of Innocence, an inspiring story of faith and freedom, which will greatly encourage citizens across our nation to never give up." Said, get your copy today. So just thought I would put in a little plug for Michael Flynn. I've been a big supporter of him ever since I met him. I think he's a good guy. Again, at first I was a little pissed off because he was doing a lot of this fear porn stuff, and I find that to be a very bad way to manipulate people, or motivate people is a better word to use, I should say. What I did find is he sort of stopped doing it, probably not because of anything I was saying, but maybe. And I enjoyed the fact that he's kind of come at it more from a faith base and more of a positive, like you got to get involved locally and stuff like that. So I think Flynn's done so much good work to help us all in a big picture. Finally, a little story here on Beyonce. There was a midair stunt that they were going to do, and she literally stopped the concert mid-concert. This car apparently kind of angled, and it wasn't supposed to. And so she was at risk of falling and probably scared shitless. I know I wouldn't like. I don't like heights. This would scare the crap out of me, but I'm just going to play a little of it. Check it out. She's at an angle there, and it literally stops the concert. And then they eventually lower her down. Right? Eventually they get her down. She didn't seem like she was belted in, but whoops, whatever the case is, that it scared the crap out of her. I just want to remind you guys, if you want to help channel out as far as merch goes, we've got two wonderful people that help me do merch. We've got, of course, truththread.shop. Truththread.shop. This is where Freethinker does the work for us. Appreciate her help. We've got, of course, your Dan Radio style stuff. If you want to check that out, there's stuff on the front. And then we got the digital American flag on the back. Very, very cool stuff. And then she's got like 3 other shirts that kind of have messages like 9/11, never forget. And then on the back, it talks about Building 7 and all these different little facts. A lot of information on the shirt. Also, the day Trump got shot back in July, the 6/11 Ephesians was the time of day that he was shot, and then the fight, which is put on your armor of God. So a whole bunch of stuff on that. And then the final one is the 5G warfare shirt, and it talks about the 5 different versions or 5 different generations of warfare on the back. And then on the 5th one, it says, "You are here." So again, really cool shirts. It got the OTF flag on the sleeve. If you guys want to check those out, you would want to go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. And the wonderful other lady that is kind enough, she drew this picture for me, Natural Disasters Art. It's just beautiful stuff that she did. And again, this tied back to when I was on Glitch in the Matrix. Mike's idea, frankly. Got to give the guy some credit on this one. This was actually one of the coolest things he ever did in my world. But it's Dan I'd Rather, like Dan Rather's. It was a pretty cool little thing he came up with. And then on the back, it says, "Dan is the news now on the Fringe." Kind of simple, which I don't know. I kind of like simpler shirts too, to be honest with you. But this is, you want to go to bonfire.com/Dan-ID-Rather160. That's bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. There is links below if you want to try to find them to dig down about halfway down. But if not, just you can pause it, just type that in. You're going to get there. But they've got a bunch of different ways that you can get these. And of course, the baseball shirt, which is, it's my uniform. So I love the baseball shirts. In fact, this is the one I'm wearing now. So go and check those out. Help out these wonderful people. This lovely lady, as she sold 39 of these all for. Let's see if we can get this up to 50. I'd love to see some of you guys pick up a couple of these. These are great shirts. And again, she just drew this just to be cool and put it on a shirt, and she manages this whole thing. So her money to make. You're just supporting the channel and some wonderful people that have gone out of their way to help me. I love you guys. I'm going to keep fighting the fight. I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you in Houston. And just a reminder, we'll not be doing the Law of One this week. It's a travel day for me, so just not going to happen. I appreciate you guys. We'll be coming back with that next week. And I will say it's actually made this week significantly easier because I've already done all my work. I already did all the music, so I don't have to get all the music done this week. And then I'm not doing the Law of One, so I don't have to do the voiceover and editing of that. So that's been nice. This has been like a vacation week, I'll be honest. I'm going to be honest, and then I'm obviously going to have one day off. I won't be doing anything on Thursday or Friday. I won't be doing my news show, most likely. But I will be doing the live music show, and I will put up the thumbnail and all that stuff for that Friday morning. So looking forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. Fingers crossed. And we'll be there, and look forward to meeting you guys out in Houston at Two-A-Days Sports Bar. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will be out there the day before, probably around 6 p.m. If you guys want to show up at Two-A-Days, you'll likely get to bump into us there. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I love you guys, and we'll continue the fight. Shoulder to shoulder, I'm walking with you. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.